Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back to That's Just My Opinion. I am Merlin, and finally, it's overdue. I am finishing up the Night Huntress series. This is going to be looking at Book 7 and then a bit of a retrospective on the series as a whole. So, Book 7 of Night Huntress is called Up from the Grave. It starts out with Kat's ghost uncle now, Dan, coming in and telling her that a bunch of her old teammates have been missing for a really long time. Like, they haven't been to their houses, and he can't find them because the compound that they used to work at has now been ghost-proofed by the asshole that now runs it, Madigan. So, he's asking Kat and Bones to look into it because something's really wrong. They've been missing for like a month. So Kat goes, okay, fine, we'll look into this, thus leading them down the trail to unravel the secrets and the mysteries of Madigan and what has been going on throughout this story. Along the way, you find out that Don, of course, was holding on to some secrets. He still had some things that he hadn't told Kat, because of course he did. That's kind of par for the course for him at this point. And so this book has a lot of spoilers. I mean, this is the finale of Kat and Bones' story. So it's a good ending to the story, but from here on out, it's going to be pretty heavy on the spoilers. So you find out that Madigan, the asshole now running everything, is obsessed with creating more hybrids like Kat and possibly even tribred, something that is ghoul, human, and vampire. I don't really know why they keep human in there, honestly. I think it's just a ghoul vampire hybrid is what they're going for. So Kat and Bones are like, we have to stop this because if the Vampire Council or if the Ghoul Nation, especially Marie, find out that humans are trying to create this hybrid species, bad news for everybody. They're gonna wipe them out. So Kat and Bones are racing against the clock to try to find this new secret facility and shut it down. Of course, we have Ian and Mencaries and Spade. They all pop up throughout the story at some point to help out. And you also find out that, Kat was really the key to everything they were able to do for their genetics because of her mixed heritage. So the other thing you find out is that Madigan, when Don fired him, was getting more and more, I want more samples from her. Most importantly, he wanted to forcibly breed her, or at the very least harvest her eggs and plant them in surrogates to try to create more hybrid babies. And that's when Don fired him and said, no, we're not doing that. But of course, there is some mysterious backer funding Madigan's operations, and of course that it turns out that they did successfully harvest some of Kat's eggs when she was going through treatments, and she has a daughter. There is this little tri-bred abomination running around who is a little sociopathic murderer because she's literally been raised in a military compound where she's just being trained to be like an assassin. So Kat and Bones, they eventually find this out, and now it's the conflict of, we have to kill her, but she's my child, so I can't. I mean, it's the one thing with Kat in this, that she is in the, it's distasteful, but to prevent the full-scale war between ghouls and vampires this child would cause, we have to do this. But then as soon as she finds out that it's her kid, all of a sudden that is off the table, and nope, we are saving this kid at all costs. Of course, they end up being able to save the kid at the end through some sidesteppy help of Denise being a shapeshifter. They're able to pull off a fake execution for the little girl. And yay, happily ever after, Kat, Bones, and their daughter, and a couple other people all sail off into the sunset to live their happily ever after, to pop up in cameo capacities in the future novels. So yeah, this one is kind of a victory lap for Kat and Bones. I mean, it literally ends with them getting their perfect happy ending of, yay, we have our family and they're gonna go live out the retirement, more or less. It's enjoyable. The one thing that I didn't really like with this is with regards to Katie. That is the name of Kat's daughter. When it comes to figuring out her paternity, who is her father? Well, it turns out that it is possibly one of the guys from Kat's old team, which is 1 in 20. And of course, who do they tell this to? They tell it to Tate. That Tate, there is a potential chance that you are her father. But they don't tell Dave, Juan, or Cooper, who have just as much odds of being this girl's father as anybody else. I mean, that's the thing, that it's just like, it just locked Tate in with Cat and Bones, and I hate Tate. He drives me up a wall. So it was just kind of annoying that she, like, force locked him in there. That it's like, oh, she might be my kid, so I'm going to, stick around, because they can't even prove definitively that Tate is his daughter, because they've mucked about with Katie's genetics so much that they couldn't prove her paternity. And also, Tate's a vampire now, and your genetics change when you become a vampire, so they can't prove it from him either, unless they happen to have some of his human DNA kicking around. So yeah, they get to sail off into the sunset. The other scene in this that kind of drove me crazy is there's a point where they set up a meeting with Madigan, and they're going to, like, try to basically trick him into getting into the compound or whatever. And Bones does his play possum routine that he did back in, I think, book 3. It's the one with Patra. And Kat thinks he dies. And I was just like, even the first time I read this, I was like, he's playing possum. He's playing possum. He can do that. So I was a little annoyed that she fell for the same trick twice. The other thing for this is that Madigan is only our villain for about the first half of the book, and then it becomes this shadow backer of Madigan's, who is he's not a congressman, but he's a high up politician dude, and he is also a demon. It's a demon as a villain. I don't know, as much as I hated Madigan as a villain, just like the archetype of the corporate stooge as the villain, I didn't really like the change midstream on who our villain was, because again, the demon's whole thing is he just wants war between vampires and ghouls, so they will kill each other and make things easier for demons. I don't know how that, because I mean, he talks about how, like, vampires and ghouls have made it harder for demons to, like, trick humans, and I'm like, how? The demons are way more powerful than either vampires or ghouls, and they are so much harder to kill. I'm like, I really don't see how. I don't know, it's I'll get into my thoughts on that later. So overall, for Night Huntress, I really like this series. It's a lot of fun. One of the biggest reasons I love these books is because they follow the same couple over multiple books. So I think it's kind of fun to explore relationships beyond the initial falling in love stages. So yeah, Night Huntress, book 7. I give it a solid 4 out of 5. It's a good victory lap. It's a satisfying conclusion for Cat and Bones' story. Overall, I give the whole series a solid 4 out of 5. Very enjoyable. If you like supernatural romances, I definitely recommend it. But hey, that's just my opinion. If you disagree with me, that's totally cool. If there's something you'd like to see me take a crack at in the future, leave your comments down below, and I will talk to you guys in a little while.